Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Evilometer from Planet X.
Oh, wow. Planet X.
Cool, eh? Mysterious, sci-fi-y.
Is freaky, but Planet X could one day come true with the way technology is going.
Oh my God!
Wow.
Nothing. Can the world just stop for a sec? I need to take a breather.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
too much.
I know.
Planet X is coming.
nothing we could do. We have a saying, or we had a saying, "Stop and smell the roses." But on Planet X, the saying, because it's so futuristic, "Stop and smell the robots," and then run from them
Oh.
because they've been programmed to kill all human life.
Honestly, even on planet Earth, I can't even tell if roses are AI or not.
Roses are AI. What's the saying?
Violets are?
Violets are cyber.
ChatGPT.
Oh, I couldn't think of.
Well, Chris, I hope.
I
we
can't tell what's real or not. I might rip the flesh off of my skull
Well,
during this episode.
I'm purposely leaving spaces before I say this because if you don't like this direction I'm going, Mike, please cut it out.
Mm-hmm.
But Chris, I don't want to out you, but you did tell Mike and I and our friend Aaron that your damn Instagram algorithm is showing you like AI. I'm gonna say MILFs.
I
who
really-
are buxom.
Yeah.
Anyone who's a fan of Evil Men and listens to this regularly knows that I probably would have brought it up myself.
Yeah, I know.
And
That's why I felt I could raise it since we were talking about AI.
So when I go to search for someone or something on Instagram, you know how they show you options based on your algorithm or what they think you like?
yeah.
I get really beautiful, busty AI manufactured MILFs coming out
Yeah.
of swimming pools and stuff.
You sent us,
You
yeah.
sent it to Chris, to
Yeah,
Mike and
yeah.
Aaron and I.
Yeah, yeah.
And they the
Yeah.
ladies, these AI ladies, I guess they look to be about
Women-
45 to 50.
Women
I
of
would
a certain
say.
age.
Aaron
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
like it, but
Yeah.
you guys liked it.
And they,
Yeah.
I mean, we've got to be frank about this. They
Yeah.
were maybe 50-year-old, very pretty ladies with
They're really pretty.
Very
and their
large
breasts are
breasts.
buxom is the
Yeah.
right word, right?
yes,
And
yes.
Russ Meyer would cast them in a film.
When I saw it, I got scared though. I mentioned this in the thread. I said this is scary because the fact that these AI pictures of like large-chested MILFs exist, that means that like there are human artists who are losing their jobs and they won't be able to do the work of drawing like buxom oldies.
I know.
So they're
I
gonna
know.
be,
They're out of the game.
Yeah, yeah. So be careful.
They're out on their
AI.
ass.
They're on their ass.
All these guys who spent years, you know,
They studied in Paris. They
10,000 hours
Yeah.
drawing buxom, MILFs.
Yeah.
They're out on their fucking ass.
Yeah. And then, they were like, probably like 10 years ago, they're like, no way a computer can ever draw a 63-year-old woman with double D's the way I can. And
AI
here
doesn't
we are.
have compassion like I do when I'm drawing buxom MILFs. Well, here's the thing.
It's like Black Mirror coming true in the most terrifying
for
way.
those
Yeah.
Yeah.
illustrators.
Yeah.
They've got a Black Mirror for
Specifically,
everyone.
Yeah, like
You know. But the thing is here's a fear of AI that never gets discussed these days because most of the time we're like, are we even going to have jobs anymore? Like, what are we
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
do if AI just does everything for us?
Yeah.
But there's another effect on human psyches that we're not taking into account that I realize now talking about these incredibly beautiful, incredibly buxom MILF babes
older digital women.
Yeah.
that
it's too
AI
bad-
is suggesting to me. There's another human emptiness that is going to happen, and that is the sorrow of realizing we can't ever touch these women one day or meet them. See what I'm saying?
Well, but Chris, people
Right.
That
have
is-
AI
that is a pure
girlfriends.
AI should be called sorrow generators.
But Chris, people have AI girlfriends, and with ChatGPT,
Oh.
you can talk to
But can you touch them? Can you rent a cottage with them during
you
the
can
winter
rent a cottage
and have like
go
a
alone.
fireplace going while it's snowing fat snowflakes outside, and you've got a nice comforter and a nice bed, and
and you're sitting across from a 55-year-old
Chris, I
really
think
busty woman.
You're taking a
Fat
very.
snowflakes falling across the windowsill.
I'm sad that you have such a pessimistic attitude here because we live in a beautiful, dynamic city full of women 55 to 70 who probably are generously proportioned chest-wise. You could probably, you know, if you're, I don't know the status of your relationship, open or closed, but you could meet a woman and get to know her. You know, it's perfectly
Well, this
reasonable.
isn't fully about AI, but it is about the sad way that the future is going for all of humankind, especially here in Toronto. And that is, some Torontonians might not know, but Crocodile Rock closed down. So it has been harder to meet women like that
Right,
in general
because that
for
was,
years
That
now.
was sort of famous here, I guess, for being the, pardon the term, the Cougar Bar, right?
Yeah, that's right.
9/11
Crocodile Rock.
Tuesdays or Thursdays where you could go and you could, if police
9/11
officers,
Tuesdays,
yeah,
did you
like
say?
firefighters, cops, ambulance drivers could get in
man.
free and meet all of Toronto's 55 to 72-year-old women with gigantic bazoingas.
72. Good God.
You know, people...
Hear about
age
Chris?
72. That's disgusting.
Chris, he quit Instagram because the algorithm got a little too old for him.
72 isn't what it used to be. Did you guys see those pictures of Ernie Hudson a couple weeks ago?
Yes.
He looks
Woo.
better than us.
Yeah.
Now,
He's
how can we
78.
trust that that's real?
Yeah, good
78. I
point.
can't believe it.
Imagine an AI picture of Ernie Hudson with huge breasts.
Oh, it's out there.
I don't
It's
hate
out
it.
There.
Who are you gonna
All
call?
the Ghostbusters probably have
My
huge
boner.
breasts.
Who are you going to call? My boner. 'cause
Who are you
it
gonna call my boner?
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to say that people in their 70s who love Evil Men, we know that you're looking great right now because everybody's doing ice baths and stuff.
That's true.
What are those called? You know, the
cold plunges.
cold plunges. Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what's not a bad idea? The Evil Men 70-plus pageant. And we get
Yeah.
all our listeners who
Yeah.
are over 70 to send us
Yeah.
their hottest, sexiest pics. And
That's
we
a great
celebrate
idea.
Well,
them.
we hold an event.
We hold an event.
In the
That's
summer.
a great idea.
Like the Chin Picnic in Toronto.
Yes, but
Yeah.
it's the Evil Men Golden Oldies
Yeah.
celebration.
And then at the end,
Wow.
we plunge the winner into an ice bath.
Yes.
Yeah. Do we plunge in with them like we push them like in like comics when Batman pushes like the Joker off a pier and they both plunge into wherever Gotham's lake?
I mean, if that happens, it happens.
Maybe the grand prize is the winner of the Golden Oldie pageant goes away with us for a weekend.
Oh, like in the winter, like I was
Yeah,
saying, in
yeah.
the cabin with the fireplace and the
Yeah.
fat snowflakes patting against the window.
And she's
And we-
going, oh,
yeah.
Chris, you're
and we have like
adorable."
what book do we have by the side of the bed that we all
Ooh.
read chapters to each other from?
Oh,
You're looking at the bookshelf.
yeah, yeah.
Shopaholic and Baby.
Yeah.
Shopaholic would be sick.
And the experiences we have with that golden oldie will put AI to shame, Chris. Don't worry.
That's the thing. AI, I wish AI understood what it was missing out on.
Here's the thing. You know that people are really saying that they're going to have AI girlfriends. When I was 14, I probably would have signed up for an account. For an AI girlfriend, I probably
Really?
would have.
Huh.
And I admit it.
Even with an AI girlfriend as a teenager, though, you still get to a point where you have to, like, fuck a pie.
This could be an interesting idea for a...
Did that guy come inside the pie before Eugene Levy stopped him?
Oh, that's a
Oh,
good
dear.
question.
Like, I don't know about that part of the movie. Sorry to cut you
I
off,
think on the
Mike, but this
director's
is
cut-
important.
There's like a camera inside the pie where it has an extra shot they didn't include.
The ejaculate shot. Jason Biggs' real cum shot into the pie. You can watch it now on a DVD bonus.
It was hard doing this scene with Jason when he was actually ejaculating inside of the pie. That's Eugene Levy.
My real son would never do that.
When Jason would fuck the pie, it reminded me of Dave Thomas, a joke Dave Thomas used to say about fucking a Tim Hortons donut
Oh, my God.
in Edmonton.
Did he just, did Jason Biggs just
His career blew up after that.
No, but did he just put his penis in the pie, or did he try anything else? Like
He put his
going
anus-
down on the pie.
Oh.
That's just something you should
Right.
learn
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well when you start becoming sexually active.
I know. Like, do you
Yeah.
have to just like dive right into fucking the pie? Can't we get some
No.
foreplay going? You got to practice
Exactly.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he licked the clit of the pie.
Oh God.
Is that disgusting? I'm sorry.
No, it could have
Some
been a
people
blueberry.
listen
It
to
could have been a
Evil Men.
blueberry.
No.
I know that some people listen to Evil Men with their parents by a
Yes.
fire in a snowy cabin where
With
it's
their
snowing
MILF
outside.
Yeah.
mom and hot old dad.
Yeah.
James,
Mm.
what you just said made me think of an idea for a sci-fi film. A
Oh.
married man in his early 40s.
Oh, that
He
sounds like
makes
me.
a deal with the devil to go back in time to be 14 years old again, sort of like in Big, so he can sign up for an AI girlfriend.
That's good. I like that. But the problem is that would take me back to the late 90s, which
No,
it
it'd
didn't
be
exist.
now. It'd be now.
Oh, so I become 14
because
now.
there would AI girlfriends exist now.
I thought of a
like
Black
that.
Mirror episode while you guys were planning your sci-fi film.
Okay.
A Black Mirror episode where a kid has a VR goggle AI girlfriend. He has a AI goggle kitchen and a VR, like, whatever the fuck I'm talking about. This is my elevator pitch. No. He's got VR goggles on. He looks at his AI kitchen, sees the pie,
Yeah.
starts fucking it,
Yeah.
loves it. Then
Uh-oh.
the VR goggles are ripped off his head.
Uh.
He's horrified to realize he's fucking a real lady.
And she's beautiful.
Oh God, I thought you were a pie.
Well, I do like the idea of kind of like a simulated American Pie.
And that's
where
the
you
horror of the future.
Can, yeah.
What am I, chopped liver?
You can wear an Apple headset and recreate American Pie from Jim's perspective.
Yeah.
And when you think you're having sex with a pie, there's a fleshlight attached to the
Yeah.
VR
Is
helmet.
Jim the name of the character?
Yes,
Oh,
I believe.
Well, can you get
Jim,
like a
Shitbreak,
can you get like
Stifler.
a pie POV?
You
Do
could.
you see his dick
With
coming right for
Apple
you?
Vision Pro, you could have your vision here. You could have a little screen up here.
Right.
You know, I'm sad that because of the divisions in America right now,
I know.
I don't think most Americans could agree on what type of pie they would like to have sex with.
You hit
these
the
days.
nail on the head.
You
Even
know?
if we make this happen, Ben Shapiro's going to be thinking it should be apple crumble, and the
Yeah.
last podcast on the left guys are going to be saying it should be blueberry. Oy, oy, oy.
There's no agreement.
All these hipsters in New York will want it to be a vegan pie.
Ah,
Yuck.
God.
AI.
How are you guys? So, before we begin recording today, Chris brought us a box of fruit,
We
which
got
is
lots of
really
good
nice.
stuff going on.
And I
Berries.
gave you guys,
melon.
yep,
Watermelon.
strawberry,
Grapes.
Strawberry. Grapes.
and I gave us all a little drink of a Korean alcohol called shoju.
So it's like you're the devil and Chris
I
is
showed you.
Chris,
I'll
you're
give
an
you a bit more.
angel, and James, you're the devil because you brought something healthy, and
Mhm.
James, you gave us something nasty. I mean,
That's
it's
right.
delicious, but,
But don't you always kind of walk around feeling like James and I are the angel and devil on your shoulder?
yeah, always whispering, "Eat some fruit" or "Drink some Korean liqueur."
Leave me alone.
Here, help yourself,
Fuck
Mike,
off. Oh, I'll
Or-
have sure.
if you'd like more.
Nice. I drove here, so I'm just having the one glass.
It's not that alcoholic.
Yeah, it tastes pretty chill.
Is this something that
chill.
Kim Jong Un would enjoy on maybe a Friday night?
He probably would. I think it is the common
a nice cigarette?
sipping alcohol over there.
Go to the border of South Korea and get me some of that shit.
He was on a mission to get Kim Jong Un some booze.
We could
Starring
do
Tim Allen and Martin Lawrence.
we could do a 3-part series of that whole family. The
Oh, we
grandfather,
totally
the father,
should.
and
Well,
now little chubby entertainer.
because you two lads are going to Edinburgh, we could, pre-plan a couple, multi-part episodes to air when you guys are gone.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. I love that idea, Chris.
I have great ideas.
You
I
darn
mean-
well do.
Sure, yeah. Well, I don't know why. Like one time I was skimming through people to figure out, who to do next. Like a few sessions ago,
Oh yeah.
and I came across the grandfather, the guy who started North Korea completely. He's definitely the most interesting one. He's
Yeah.
he's freaking crazy.
They do seem a bit cuckoo.
Yeah.
Pardon the term, but
Yeah.
I have sort of a not that interesting story, but it's something to talk about.
Let's give him something sort of interesting to talk about.
Let's try some different lyrics to that.
Well, yesterday, as a matter of fact, God, I remember it just like it was yesterday. Oh wait, I was at the Whole Foods in Yorkville, fancy neighborhood.
That is fancy.
Wow.
I can only shop at Part Foods.
Yeah, this anecdote isn't for our low-income earning listeners.
Now the truth is, it's because I went on a jog and was near.
Trigger warning for people who shop at No Frills and Freshco.
I don't get all my groceries there. Just made a stop. Anyway, I'm in the Whole Foods there, and I open up the fridge with all the eggs in it. Michael, you know what I mean?
I am the Eggman.
And I'm looking in the carton to make sure this egg carton I want to buy, none of the eggs are cracked. Nothing worse than that.
Yeah.
Anyway, as I'm sort of collecting this carton of eggs,
You already do a podcast with 2 eggs who are cracked.
I look to my right, and there's a fit gentleman wearing kind of athletic gear.
78.
No, he's probably in his early 30s. Backwards hat. He had Invisalign in, I think, which is neither here nor there.
So you got a good look at this young man.
I did get a good look at this young man, and even
At his
like
teeth.
I had put my basket down, and it was kind of blocking him, and he was, Anyway, I move out of the way so he can go and get his own eggs. And I'm looking at this guy, and I go, "This is Toronto Blue Jays relief pitcher Chad Green."
Oh, yeah.
Now
You were saying.
Chad Green, even if you're a baseball fan, is not famous. He's
So it's not crazy that he would be doing his own personal egg shopping.
well, he does make $9 million this year.
Then he makes too much money for personal egg shopping.
Then you can get your eggs from Whole Foods.
That's right. Anyway, I am not usually the kind of person that would approach a celeb, but I love the Blue Jays, and no one was around. And so I said, "Are you Chad Green?" And he was very nice. And he was like, yeah. He was sort of sweet, even. He was just kind of,
And you said,
unassuming.
don't be shy, my boy.
I am embarrassingly probably 8 or 9 years older than him. And I said, "Oh, I'm a huge Jays fan. And good luck this year."
Did you give him a hug?
No. But at this point, I thought, he was like, "Oh, thanks a lot. Thank you." And I thought, okay, this interaction has gone great. I'm scared that if it keeps going, it'll get weird or I'll do something weird. So I'm like, I've got to get out of, cut and run.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, well, good luck this season. I hope you feel better because he has a shoulder injury. And I said something like, I hope you enjoy it here. I said something like that, and then I left right away, and he
James,
was nice.
you were giving off stalker vibes.
Well,
Baby reindeer over here.
I went over to the bean aisle because I was supposed to get cannellini beans for Evany and I. And I genuinely was like, I really don't want to bump into him again because it ended well. I don't want to. And I did see him walking around again, and I didn't make eye contact because I was like, that was perfect.
You should have yelled hi from across the...
You should have been like, will you pay for my eggs?
I know, he could afford it.
That's exciting.
It was
Hi
neat.
again.
Yeah. Hi again, Chad. Oh, my God. We're like best friends.
Well,
That's
knowing
exciting.
how much you love baseball so much and the Jays,
It was cool.
I'm happy for you.
And if any
That's really exciting.
Jays fans out there are wondering, is Chad Green a nice guy? Well, I would say it seems like he is.
Where
He's
the
very nice.
heck is he from?
It's a great question. I don't know. I mean, definitely somewhere in the States. He pitched for the Yankees for a lot of years.
New York.
Yeah, New York, exactly.
New York. Well, I have a little story to tell. I
yes!
I just got back from yet another trip to London, England.
Mike, you're starting to remind me of Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I'm
All
always,
these flights.
Yeah. It's like I'm doing my own personal Eras tour.
Right. And you're also dating an NFL tight end.
I am.
Mike, no, seriously,
Well-
though, you're genuinely killing the planet with all your pollution.
Mike,
Oh,
now
Your
know,
carbon footprint.
know that I
know.
don't, of course, mean this. I would never say anything rude. But an obvious joke I could have made, because Taylor Swift's boyfriend is a tight end,
Yeah.
I could have said, you're also with someone with a tight end,
James.
meaning her bottom. But I wouldn't say
You
that.
wanna
I hope
edit
you know
that
it.
out and
I hope you don't
do
think
it-
that was offensive.
Have you been hacking
Suze,
into
are you
my
listening to this?
But have you been hacking into my notes app where I made that note? Susan's a tight end. Well, thank you for not telling that joke. But I experienced a tiny little birthday.
Oh, happy
When I was-
birthday!
Oh yeah, your
Hey.
birthday. Your birthdays are always super crazy.
They're crazy.
Like you party to the hilt.
I go nuts.
You-
And
Yeah. So what happened again? It was nuts.
this year was no different. I keep raising the stakes on how crazy my birthday can get. And this year I had the days to myself. This trip I had the days to myself because Suze was rehearsing for a show. So I had to. Oh dear! How do you find interesting things to do in London, England, the world's funnest playground?
Yeah.
So I saw a lot of movies by myself, and I saw for the first time On the Waterfront. I saw the movie the Back to Black, Amy Winehouse biopic. I saw most of it, and I walked out near the end because it wasn't super good. I saw a documentary about Mussolini. But on my
Hey.
birthday,
Yeah. Okay.
April 17th, I, by myself on a beautiful sunny day in London, I took the tube down to Piccadilly Circus, walked up to the ticket booth and said, "One for the zone of interest, please."
It's my birthday.
It's my birthday, I'll have you know. And I got a big...
They have people come
Yeah.
in the theater and sing "Happy Birthday" to you.
They gave me a nice big piece of birthday cake, and I got a jumbo popcorn and some Coca-Cola, and I was just munching it away.
So just for those who don't know, Zone of Interest is about the...
It's about the commander of Auschwitz concentration camp, and it won the Oscar for Best Foreign Film this year recently.
Wow.
And the director found himself in a little bit of controversy. But yeah, I went, and it was maybe me and two other men in their 50s
Oh.
in this huge auditorium
Okay.
watching the movie. So I put my glasses on and just sat back and had a cinematic experience.
Oh, what a great birthday, Mike.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen a lot of movies, but one of my favorites is Three Amigos. Is
Yes.
it like Three Amigos?
Well, Three Amigos has a German character.
Right. Two Germans.
Two Germans.
Yeah, the gun dealers.
And he challenges Martin Short to a duel, right?
Yeah.
Because he's disillusioned. He found
Little
out that
Neddy Niederlander.
because he hates that they used camera tricks.
Yeah.
Remember the singing bush?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that in the movie you watched?
Well, they
Is
do.
Chevy Chase in Zone of Interest?
His spirit is, but the family does have a beautiful garden, but there's no singing bush.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Grim, devastating movie.
Oh.
Deserved its Oscar statue.
Oh,
But
that's nice.
Well, that's.
Yeah.
I'm happy you got to celebrate in style, as they say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you have a drink in the theater or anything?
I had nothing.
Did you wear a funny hat?
No, I just wore my glasses because I find that I can't see things clearly on a big screen without my
Now,
glasses.
Michael.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've got an alarm going off here. Have I seen you with glasses on?
Maybe pictures of me online, but I don't think I've ever worn them in front of you because I'm too shy, James.
Oh, come now. You mustn't be shy.
Come now.
Come now, my boy.
I didn't know. I don't think I knew you wore glasses.
For screens.
For screens.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I also wore them during On the Waterfront and the documentary on Mussolini.
Now,
Yeah.
Chris,
On the Waterfront is about on Ontario Place.
Yes. About the battle for will it get a casino? Will it turn to a spa? What's
now,
going to happen?
Chris,
Hmm?
I see you put glasses on when you look off your computer. I bet you're going to do
Yeah.
it later today.
Mhm.
Now, Mike,
My eyes are getting
I'm the
really
only
bad.
non-glasses guy here. But Chris, you were saying that
Good
they're
for
just
you.
they're just glasses from the pharmacy. Like you haven't. They're
Uh-huh.
not designed for your eyes specifically.
Yeah, I got to do the real thing.
Yeah.
Are yours prescription?
They are prescription, yeah.
Damn.
I think you should get prescription glasses.
I guess I'm avoiding it.
Oh, yeah.
It's my zone of conflict. Is that what it's called?
I'm like that
Zone of
about certain
interest.
things too.
Zone of interest.
I left stuff about my stomach for a long time because I didn't want to have to deal with it.
Right.
Yes, there's a lot of problems with my life that I avoid. I've noticed that.
It's good.
Yeah, it helps me. Fester in my subconscious. But
Hey, all the more time to go on Instagram and look at AI hot older
That's-
ladies.
Oh, yeah.
what it is.
But also, if you get proper glasses, think about how clearly you'll see these women 52 to 69 who have large chests.
do you think in our 60s at least we'll be able to finally suck on AI nipples that taste like real nipples?
It's got to
Or
be
feel
coming.
like real nipples.
your
Taste
deathbed?
sounds even Worse. On my deathbed.
You know why it's coming? I know. It's funny. I'm realizing you were joking, and I'm going to give a serious answer. But
No, but I clearly,
well, no, but
I clearly
if
want
you made that,
one in my mouth
you'd
all
become
the time.
a billionaire. And that's why I think it'll happen, because someone out there is going, hey, if we
Yeah.
made that, we'd become so rich.
A nipple that can just, like a breast that can appear and go in your mouth.
Like the Great Gazoo, but it's a breast.
Yeah.
And it says, hello, dum-dums.
See, I have a really lovely, wonderful wife, but I just don't want to bother her all the time. And
I have a
I'm
wonderful
sure there's a
life.
lot of people. It's a Wonderful Wife. Starring Jimmy Stewart.
There's a
I
lot of
love
men
my
out there who
wife.
don't want to
Yeah.
bother their
Yeah.
wives,
Every second.
and
I
But
love
they
my
want to
wife.
live with a breast in their mouth.
I've got a perfect wife, perfect life. Our relationship's so nice. I just want a floating robotic breast that I can suck the nipple of.
have you?
Happy wife, happy life, breast and mouth, never pout.
It reminds me of a calf,
Yes.
drinking from
Yes.
mother's teat.
Also, maybe there could be one for the ladies or people who want a men's.
Think of how
part.
great.
A guy who listens.
Yes.
Think of how good
Floats around.
or how better soldiers would fight if they had a breast in their mouth the whole time.
An army of men coming over like a hill with these synthetic breasts in their mouths.
Yeah, firing machine guns into people's
Going,
faces.
It's like a huge helmet. They make a huge helmet with a silicone boob on the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, like those beer hat straws.
They're super soldiers.
Yeah.
Where do they get their power from?
And they're marching with breasts with nipples in their mouth.
Oh, we're going to win the Canadian Podcasting Awards next year for this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Gentlemen, when you put your hand in a piece of goo, that'll be your best friend's face. So, suck on the nipple while you're doing it. It makes it better. Patton.
Patton.
Before we get to the evil man this week, allow me to mention that we have a Patreon account that you can find at patreon.com/evilmen. And if you sign up and you give us a little bit of money, you get 2 bonus episodes a month, and you get access to our Discord, and you help us make the podcast, which we really appreciate. And if you are already on the Patreon, thank you very much.
Money. Excellent. That's right, Mr. Burns.
Oh, that was good.
Marge.
Is that Maggie?
Yeah.
Nice.
Give me Bobo.
Yeah. Smithers. Smithers.
Can you give Mr. Burns Bobo?
Yes, please give me Bobo.
Fuck.
I was saying the other day to Suze that for the 47th season of The Simpsons, it'd be funny if they just were like, we're going to make it like the animation will just look the same as it did for the first season.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be funny?
I love the squiggly. And when you watch it on a digital TV, it's really bad.
Yeah, it looks like fucking shit.
It looks like fucking shit, boy.
Well, Christopher,
Hey.
this week you
We don't
did
have-
the research and you chose the topic. Who did you choose, Chris?
Who's the nasty little man we're going to learn all about?
I did. The creator of the franchise McDonald's, Sir John Alexander McDonald.
Hey!
Hold up. I don't think he created the restaurant McDonald's, Chris. And if that's indicative of your research, I think we're in for a long evening.
Sorry, let me rewind that. What hath God wrought? It's Sir John Alexander A. MacDonald, The first Prime Minister of Kandahar. Just kidding. Canada. Thanks for tuning in.
We started with a
Your
sir.
Korean alcohol has made me silly.
How fitting that his middle initial is A. After all, it is the word us Canadians say quite often.
John.
Alexander.
Take off, Alexander. Born January 10th or 11th, nobody knows. But apparently his family celebrated 11th more.
That's a great mystery of history.
I also want to say that I think I was making good notes for a bit, and then I got distracted.
Don't apologize.
I always apologize.
Yeah,
eh?
that's a bad.
That's
With
a bad
all due
habit.
respect, it's
This
a
is the
bad
best
instinct.
episode ever.
I'm gonna try
don't
and guess.
apologize.
I'm gonna try and guess where the notes fall off. While we're doing
Play
it.
along with us
I'd
at
be like,
home and
yeah.
guess where the notes go.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit.
No,
You
no,
got-
Chris, it's gonna be great.
I do apologize every app.
I'm
Yeah.
Except I
excited.
don't think I apologized for Skunk Ape.
That
No,
was
that was
nor
sick,
should you. That
dude.
episode rocked.
I dropped the hammer on
That was
fucking
so
Skunk
good.
Ape.
This episode this week, would you say, Chris, is it for politics nerds?
Yes. Politics nerds, stand up. Where are you at? Show
and
yourselves.
can we work some Skunk Ape into the John A story? Because I still want to talk about that guy.
Well, you know, the way Sir John A. thought of other people that lived in this country, he probably thought of them more like
Right.
Oh,
well
God.
said. Well said.
You know, creatures from the
Mhm.
wild.
Yes.
Not a nice dude, but he was the first prime minister. Born January 10th or 11th, but like I said, they celebrated his birthday on 11th, 1815. He was serving from 1867 to 1873, and from 1878 until his death in 1891. He was the dominant figure of Canadian Confederation and had a political career that spanned almost half a frickin' century, dog.
What?
Macdonald was born in Glasgow, Scotland.
If it's not Scottish, it's crap. What's
That's-
that from?
That was from SNL, Mike
SNL,
Myers.
Oh,
Mike
yeah,
Myers,
yeah.
that's
All
his-
things Scottish. You know who else is from Glasgow, though, Chris? You know, Jesus and Mary Chain,
Oh,
Bell-
yeah. Yeah,
Belle
they're the best.
Sebastian,
Oh, sick.
And I think the comedian Lemmy.
Lemmy,
Oh, dude.
Billy Connolly.
Wow.
All the, they all immigrated to Canada.
In the 1800s.
He was one of 5 kids. His father, Hugh, sucked at business.
Oh.
So they immigrated to Kingston.
Next stop, Kingston.
Kingston, Ontario.
Imagine being so bad at business, you're like, let's move to an empty, frozen hellhole.
A lot of people seem to have done that back then.
I think
Yeah.
millions of
Fucking
people
crazy.
did.
Yeah.
Millions.
Probably wasn't empty. I take that back.
Guess what it was called, the province at the time? Upper Canada, eh?
Yeah.
And how
It's
weird.
Eastern Ontario now, but there used to
Upper.
be upper and lower. I know what you're going to say. Say it, though. You're a history nut.
Well, it just Upper Canada was south of Lower Canada, but they
Yeah.
were referring to the
river.
elevation was higher in Upper Canada and went down, I believe, in Lower Canada. Lower Canada's Quebec, and Upper Canada was Eastern Ontario.
It's
They
such a-
based it on the way the St. Lawrence governed everything back then.
It's-
So
Access to the ocean. You just get in that St. Lawrence River and you head out to the Atlantic.
I would love to do the whole all the way to Superior St. Lawrence trip. How sick would that be?
Michael.
That'd be fun. It's such an antiquated term to call this part of Canada Upper Canada, and I couldn't believe my ears the first time I went to Halifax, and a local guy in Halifax was like, "Oh, you're from Upper Canada." I was like, "Did I go through a time machine to the
Yeah.
1800s?" And then I decided that this man, like all of his fellow Nova Scotians, was a fool.
Okay, the shoju's got to Mike. I gave Mike too much Korean alcohol.
No, I'm just joking. Just joking around.
I'm just kidding. I know.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris, I was going to respond to you as well.
Mm-hmm.
Every
you were
host
saying-
is all the hosts are not responsible for other hosts' opinions.
Chris, you were saying, I'd love to take a cruise.
Mhm.
I actually looked up. There is a cruise from Toronto to Greenland.
Oh, I would do it.
I would too.
Would
It
that
costs
take,
like
like, 2 months?
$20,000. Yes.
Don't you want to take me on a Greenland cruise? Soon after their arrival in Kingston, John's younger brother James died from a blow to the head by a servant charged with taking care of the boys.
Oh.
Now, I watched this documentary last night. Yeah, my information's all over the place, but this Guardian guy who was supposed to look after John and his brother James, he took them to a pub and was trying to get them to drink gin with him. And John grabbed his brother and they fled. And the guy chased after them and beat his brother James so bad that he died from the fucking beating, dude.
And so they ran away
And he
because
didn't
they
really like John A. Macdonald never mentioned this until like near his death.
So the servant beat them because they didn't want to drink with him?
Yeah, basically.
They ran away?
I think, yeah.
Wow.
That's what I heard on this doc.
Wow.
So he was carrying that with him the whole time. Still doesn't excuse, but yeah. I put here he was a lawyer by the time he was 15. He basically dropped out of school.
What?
Yeah, I don't want to see. This is the thing. Like, I'm gonna gloss over some shit because
He
I
was
don't
like
care.
Doogie Howser of being a lawyer, but also Scottish.
That's true. So he,
Yeah.
I guess,
He was smart and he was cunning and
he must have been, yeah.
Your Honor, I rest my case.
well, his parents actually pushed him to become a
of
lawyer. He dropped out of school and he said that once he would have like probably got into more like literature, like writing, if he stayed in school. So he regretted that. But his parents pushed him to become a lawyer because you get like
sick benefits and awesome
sick-ass
holidays
benefits and like
yeah.
chicks dig you.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. No, it was like something about like, you know, status and class. You're respected.
Probably
by
more
that as
solid
well.
as a career also than
Yeah.
being a...
Well, have you seen The
Poet.
Firm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tempting lifestyle other than the bad stuff they had to do.
I've seen A Firm after watching a dirty movie.
Oh, and your dick?
Yeah, my dick gets firm. Fuck off. That's what I say to my boner because it's bothering me.
Yep.
As a lawyer, he was involved in several high-profile cases and quickly became prominent in Kingston. Okay, anyways. Which elected him in 1844 to the legislature of the province of Canada. By 1857, he had become premier under the colony's unstable political
Right,
system.
because Canada was not a country at that point. It was just a colony of England.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what he's basically known for in Canada, with pride in Canada. Because, you know, the rest of some of his stuff was whitewashed, is that he unified the whole country with the CP rail and the, you know, I'll get to it. Macdonald's early professional career coincided with the rebellion in Upper Canada and the resulting border raids from the United States. He was in Toronto in December 1837 as a militia private. He took part in the attack on the rebels at Montgomery's Tavern, which is downtown, I believe.
We should go after this.
Yeah, and go, hey!
It's now Jack Astor's.
Jack Astor's! In 1838, he attracted public notice by defending accused rebels, including Niels von Schultz, the leader of an attack on Prescott, Ontario. You know that place?
No.
Macdonald entered politics at the municipal level. He served as alderman in Kingston from 1843 to 1846. He took an increasingly active part in conservative politics. In 1844, at age 29, he was elected to the Legislative Assembly of the Province of Canada. Parties and government were in a state of transition. A modern departmental structure had begun to evolve. But you can tell this is written in my words, eh?
Yeah. So this isn't just you speaking off the cuff?
This is me just
Your
trying to
tone is like
remember.
exactly like when you're just riffing.
Yeah.
He's spending so much time in Kingston. I'm wondering,
Yeah.
did he hang out with Dan Aykroyd?
Yeah, and he also like told the Tragically Hip that they've got something. But the British government had not yet agreed to responsible government in British North America, and the role of Governor General was still prominent.
You know, Evany and I did a boat tour of the Kingston Islands when we were in Kingston.
Yeah, we did Gananoque.
Oh, Gananoque is nice, but
Yeah.
on the boat tour,
Oh.
they had like a pre-recorded, VO tour, and it was like it was half hosted by a fake John A. Macdonald. It was like,
That's awesome.
when I was here, Kingston was quite a bit different or whatever. It was about half an hour long, and we sat right under the speaker, and it was too loud.
The whole time I was like learning about him, I didn't even imagine him with a Scottish accent, but you're right. Holy
He
shit.
probably had a posh Scottish.
When I was in Kingston, there was no Pizza Hut.
In 1847, Macdonald was appointed to cabinet as Receiver General in the administration of W.H. Draper.
Yeah.
However, Draper's administration was defeated in the general election that year. Macdonald remained in opposition until the election of 1854. He was then involved in the creation of a new political alliance, the Liberal Conservative Party. This new party brought together the Conservatives with an already existing alliance between Upper Canadian Reformers and the French Canadian Majority Bloc, the Parti Bleu.
Blah.
Back in office, Macdonald assumed the prestigious post of Attorney General of Canada West, formerly Upper Canada. When Conservative leader Sir Allan MacNab retired in 1856, an event Macdonald helped engineer, Macdonald succeeded him as a joint premier of the province of Canada, first with Etienne Paschal Taché, then with Georges Etienne Cartier. It's cool, eh?
That's really cool.
Imagine
It's
having
really
sirs.
cool.
Imagine having sirs that govern us.
I'll be sick. Yeah, he's a sir. He was knighted.
Yeah.
But not yet.
Oh.
In 1864, when no party proved capable of governing for long, Macdonald agreed to a proposal from his political rival, George Brown, that the parties unite in a great coalition to seek federation and political reform. Macdonald was the leading figure in the subsequent discussions and conferences which resulted in the British North America Act and the establishment of Canada as a nation on July 1st, 1867.
A day that always fills me with pride. July 1st.
How about that?
Barbecue.
So he orchestrated Canada becoming a country.
Yeah,
Scottish man just went ahead and did it.
I definitely forgot some notes.
Well,
I forgot to write how he became prime minister. But basically, around that time,
Was there an election? Maybe. And then-
what's it called? The guy who's like is the
Governor General?
Governor General awarded him the role of the first prime minister.
Nice.
So wasn't an election? He was sort of appointed?
I got lots of. Let me see here. Hey, how come I can't see?
the Queen's representative in Canada, the Governor General.
Yes.
Or King these days.
Well, that is a very good point. Just while Chris is searching, Mike,
Yes.
you know what's interesting with John A. Macdonald being Scottish? A lot of Scottish, there were a lot, I guess a lot of Scottish influence on early Canada. And I started thinking, this may be already well known, that I think the Canadian accent, if you really break it down, it kind of parallels Scottish in like a very tame way, like the about. I know we don't say about, we more say about.
Right.
And like where you going? Like
You think it's
if
from
you-
Scottish?
Well, I kind of wondered if that was like the origin of our slightly different accents.
Plus, we say cunt all the time.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
bleeding cunt. No offense. Okay, so I forgot to copy and paste this from the Canadian Encyclopedia.ca. This is after he teams up with Sir George Etienne Cartier, I believe. In 1864, the political and sectional forces in the provinces were deadlocked. Macdonald reluctantly accepted Brown's proposal for a new coalition of conservatives, Clear Grits, and Bleu. See, they would work
There was
together.
a party called the Clear Grits.
That's good, eh? I would be a
Interesting.
part of that
The
party.
Conservatives, the Clear Grits, and
Clear
the Blues.
Grits.
Yeah.
Mike, are the Grits the Liberals?
I think they are, yeah.
Yeah.
The Tories are the Conservatives. The Grits
Yeah.
are the
Mhm.
Liberals, and I guess the Bleu are the Quebec guys.
The French guys.
I'm a true grit. Just kidding. I'm nothing. They would work they would work together for constitutional change. Macdonald and the coalition played a key role in uniting the former British North America colonies, the new provinces of Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia, into Confederation in 1867. Macdonald conceded that a federation was necessary to accommodate the strong racial, religious, and regional differences in the new country. His preference was for a strong, highly centralized, unitary form of government. Macdonald took a leading. This is why everyone thinks he's like such a passionate man for the country of Canada, like
Right.
uniting everybody. Macdonald took a leading role in drafting the federal system. He ensured that the central government held unmistakable dominance over the provincial governments. His constitutional expertise, ability, and knowledge were quickly recognized by the imperial government. Lord Monck, former Governor General of the Province of Canada and the first Governor General of the Dominion, appointed Macdonald as the first Prime Minister of Canada on 1 July 1867.
So he was never elected.
July.
1 July.
Macdonald was also knighted,
Wow.
Knight Commander of the Bath, becoming Sir John A. Macdonald.
So he was appointed. Interesting.
Imagine
So
that,
he's a
becoming a
nation
sir
builder.
and a prime minister on the same day. It's like two milestones in every man's life.
Yeah. So he was just given all this shit for his hard work.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Maybe I did write that stuff down. I don't know. I forget. Yeah, Macdonald was the first prime minister of the new nation and served 19 years. Only William Lyon Mackenzie King has served longer.
When
19
was
years.
when was
Yeah.
William Lyon Mackenzie King PM? Wasn't he World War II? Was he World War II era? Or was
he
he way
was after that, maybe, I think, 50s.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I know the
40s
I
and
know the
50s.
American presidents, but I don't know who was prime minister during the wars in Canada.
Oh my gosh!
I went
At
to
the
his
end we should
cottage in,
quiz.
not Gananoque, what's it called? Gatineau. He had a cottage there,
Gatineau.
and they keep it as a museum, and I walked through. It was pretty sweet.
Who had it?
William Lyon Mackenzie King.
Huh. And William Lyon Mackenzie King, the former Canadian Prime Minister, he believed in psychic stuff, and he had like
Yeah.
he like did Ouija boards.
He
and
would
stuff like
consult
that.
his dead mother
Yeah.
for like political advice.
And he was in office from 1935 to 1948. Oh, 26
Yeah.
to 30 and 35 to 48. So
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
actually right.
Wow. So we had a guy with a Ouija board.
I don't know if we can do him one day. I don't know how savage he got.
Well, that's why we ask the question:
Yeah.
Are you an evil man?
I think
Yeah.
He might not be.
I think he famously didn't he turn away ships of refugees during World War II.
I don't know, but
think
this
he-
is, I mean, more grist
he
for
might
the
have.
mill, Michael.
We've got quite a mill going.
Yes. Okay, so John A. Macdonald, he's Scottish.
Yeah.
He's, I guess, really smart in that he was a lawyer at 15.
He's also extremely charismatic and like a hustler.
Okay, and he unites
Handsome.
Ontario, Quebec,
But
Nova
he had a big nose, and he was bullied a lot for having a
Scotia.
big nose when he was a kid.
And he has a big nose.
But he rose above it to become the first Sir and Prime Minister of Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, his eyes and forehead rose above it. In his first term, Macdonald established the Northwest Mounted Police and expanded Canada by annexing the Northwestern Territory, Rupert's Land, British Columbia, and Prince Edward Island.
Wow.
In 1873, he resigned from office over a scandal in which his party took bribes from businessmen. These things I will get into more details coming up.
So
Seeking the
in 18
contract to
but you
build the
s-
Canadian Pacific Railway.
No, but I was hard to tell what you said. So
Mm.
he resigned over in 1873. He resigned over a scandal.
Yeah,
having
I'll
to
get into that more detail.
I know, but you said it, and it was hard to tell what you said, so I'm just reiterating what you said. So it's
Because
clear.
I don't like this stuff. I like this exciting stuff that's coming up. I'm sorry, James.
No,
I
it's okay.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm you fed me too much Korean juice. McDonald claimed that his hands were clean because he had not profited personally from his deal with Alan.
Alan.
Okay. There's a guy named Alan.
Woody Allen. Alan Funt from Candid Camera.
I forget. I got my notes from all over the place, so I kind of. Here's the thing. To our readers or listeners or whatever, the reason why this one is so hodgepodge for me is because I got sidetracked by the story of Louis Riel, which I find way more fascinating.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about him in a sec.
Ah.
And so I do have more information about the Canadian Pacific Railway scandal. But I'm just trying to get through like the beats of his career before we get to that.
All right.
Gotcha.
So I'm sorry, I don't remember who Alan
He sounds like a nasty fellow that you don't want to do business with.
Did you take money from Alan in the House of Commons?
No, I've never met him.
Liar. But anyways, listen to this. He was forced to resign late 1873, even though he said, I didn't do anything with Alan. In the election of 1874, his government was defeated because everyone was pissed. But his defeat coincided with the onset of a depression in Canada, and the Liberal government of Alexander Mackenzie appeared ineffective during that. In 1876, at the urging of a group of Montreal manufacturers, Macdonald began to advocate a policy of readjustment of the tariff. I guess they had a tariff that was bothering them for business, thanks to Alexander Mackenzie.
All this stuff was about tariffs back then, you know?
Tariffs were stressful.
Where's
This
the-
policy helped him return to power in 1878. So he's back, baby.
Yeah.
Guess
Boom.
who's back?
So we're going to wrap up like the sort of like shitty website summary thing. McDonald's greatest achievements were building and guiding a successful national government for the new Dominion, using patronage to force a strong conservative party, promoting the protective tariff of the national policy, and completing the railway. He fought to block provincial efforts to take power back from the national government in Ottawa. Now, let's get into the juicy stuff.
Can I ask Chris,
Mm-hmm.
where did he stand on vaccines?
Oh.
Well, okay. So here's the thing about the controversies of Sir John A. I know more about that, and I read this National Post article sticking up for him,
Okay.
and they actually claimed that because
People
I'm
wanted
jumping
to take
ahead,
down. People wanted to take down statues of him, and
but apparently he
rename
gave
schools.
Indigenous people out west, like all of them were vaccinated against the smallpox that were killing them in droves.
Right. Okay.
But
They
that's
had vaccines then?
But you have to read the National Post article to get the full flavor of this guy's
Right.
where he stands.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I didn't even think they had vaccines then.
Yeah, they had Pfizer only. So I checked out this article that I loved by this guy Jesse McLaren. And the article is 10 Crimes of John A. Macdonald, and it's sick, dude. Jesse seems to me like a very activist socialist person, so some of that is tinged in it. But yeah, so number one, he wrote, he founded Canada on stolen land. Macdonald is called the father of Confederation for signing the British North America Act of 1867 that created Canada. But this accomplishment created a colonial settler state built on the colonial oppression of Indigenous peoples and the national oppression of the Quebecois, a.k.a. Allenstown. No, Quebecois. 2 years later, Macdonald bought Rupert's Land, which was nearly a quarter of the continent from the Hudson's Bay Company without consultation of its population. As Macdonald admitted, all these poor people know is that Canada has bought the country from the Hudson's Bay Company and that they are handed over like a flock of sheep to us. Now, I started this book a while ago that's the history of the Hudson's Bay Company too, and Rupert's Land was created by Hudson's Bay Company the same way.
Right.
They basically learned all these trading routes from like the help of certain adventurous settlers and Indigenous people working together, and then just went, bam, this is our land, and they didn't even like tell people you live in this country now.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So Macdonald doubled down on that, and that's obviously we know that's how Canada was founded, but then he did that with Rupert's Land as well.
I might be ignorant to what the Quebecois suffered, but it feels weird to me to lump them in with the Indigenous people because I don't know. Maybe a lot happened that I'm not aware of, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm
Like,
not aware either, but
is
I
that
do know one
because-
thing is like, he joined this, like I said earlier, he joined this coalition government with, where's his name? God damn it. Sorry. Oh, Etienne Pascal Taché, and then with Georges Etienne Cartier. So he joined the joint premier of the province of Canada with Cartier. But then it seemed maybe what Jesse's referring to is like it seemed after Cartier passed away. Basically, John A. Macdonald was like a white supremacist who was for Britons only, and that was the last Quebecois guy that he ever worked with. And then he never had Quebecois people in the government after that. So he could be alluding to that.
Also,
Sorry, I'm scattered about it, but yeah, does that help? Maybe I'm guessing.
No,
as well.
and I wasn't questioning you. I was just like, is that?
No,
what
I'm with
people
you. I want
commonly think. But
that's
maybe
the
it
best
is.
I can
don't
figure it out because he was definitely like we'll get to more examples, but he was definitely like Britain first, and everyone else is like a savage compared to me and my pals.
yeah.
Number 2, Jesse said he criminalized abortion. So Canada imported British anti-abortion laws under Macdonald, who claimed that abortion saps the very lifeblood of the nation. This law lasted a century, sapping the very lives of thousands of women. The law was liberalized in 1969, but it took a mass movement to defeat it in 1988, a movement that continues. Number 3, he criminalized homosexuality. Canada also imported British laws against homosexuality, which was punishable by death during Macdonald's first 2 years in office. Now,
He's like Scottish Ron DeSantis.
yes, and of course there's like people who are apologists for Sir John A. Macdonald say this was a different time for all this stuff, etc. But it's still extremely extreme, and it's not very humanist. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
It's
I think
punishable by death.
Oh wow, punishable by death.
Yeah,
Really?
so this,
Wow, okay.
though this was dropped, the homophobic persecution continued, as his justice minister said in 1890, explaining an amendment to the criminal code. The third section of the bill contains a penalty for gross acts of immorality committed in reference to a male person. The maximum penalty of 2 years imprisonment is, I think, entirely inadequate. The criminalization of homosexuality also lasted a century, and it was a mass movement.
I wonder what the guy would have thought of the darn Pet Shop Boys.
Yeah, I don't think they were touring back then. It was too cold. He used starvation as a weapon. As a tactic of colonial expansion, Macdonald used starvation as a weapon against indigenous peoples. As James Daskuk documented in Clearing the Plains, Politics, Starvation, and the Loss of Aboriginal Life, for years, government officials withheld food from Aboriginal people until they moved to their appointed reserves, forcing them to trade freedom for rations. Once on reserves, food placed in ration houses was withheld for so long that much of it rotted, while the people it was intended to feed fell into a decades-long cycle of malnutrition, suppressed immunity, and sickness from tuberculosis and other diseases. Thousands died. Okay, so around this time, also all the buffalo were hunted, and that's what a lot of like the indigenous out in Manitoba and Saskatchewan and would live on, and they were like extinct. And then one of the things that caused like Louis Riel to form a rebellion was that their land, like basically when Rupert's land was turned into Canada, they were like, wait, what? We didn't know about that. You know what I mean? And so all their land was taken. And so John A. Macdonald promised them like, shit.
No, I was laughing because Bruno keeps putting his paw on your
Yeah.
leg, and you sort of politely push it away, and then he keeps putting it back.
Bruno is so nice. But yeah, what's it called? Like they were gonna give them land, like 1,400,000 acres of land, and they kept postponing because what they wanted to do was they basically eventually, like they said, they took all the land from the top land that they wanted by the Red River and the Assiniboine. They're like perfect trading routes. There's water there.
And that's like modern day Winnipeg, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It was Fort Garry that it turned into Winnipeg, and then, I've been to Winnipeg a lot. It's really interesting to go down to the forks there where these two rivers meet. It's quite. You can feel the history in the air. It's pretty impressive. But so they kept withholding all the land from the Métis that were living there and the Indigenous, and they sent out Ontario settlers to get the prime properties on the rivers. And so they kept pushing them back more and giving them like land that was cold, unfarmable. And these guys were not farmers anyways. They were like, you know, hunters, etc. And so that's a bigger piece of like what they're doing here. But yeah, so they also like that's when they were creating reservations and telling them you should go up there. And then they were they were basically starving them. They killed thousands by starvation.
Right.
And that's under John A. Macdonald too.
And this is all history that we weren't taught as
Nope.
kids. Just like, he's the great father of Confederation,
Yeah.
and he drank a bit, and what a funny guy.
Yeah.
He's on the money.
And one of
Although
our
would-
most iconic symbols of Canada is coming up right now, and it's in regards to the same issue. He created a repressive police.
Although I feel like he was never really mythologized, but I'm sure they would have if there was any like more potentially redeeming things about him, I guess. Or I don't know, maybe you felt differently, but I always felt like it was like in the States, it's like George Washington and he's really mythologized, and in Canada it was like
I mean, less
John
so for
A.
sure.
Macdonald.
I just remember being told that he was the one who basically created the amazing country of Canada.
Yeah, the
And
railway is usually what you associate.
None of the bad things.
Yeah.
And uniting the country, yeah. I mean, which he did do, but he did it like, you know.
Like a goddamn
Heartless.
motherfucker,
Yeah.
you know?
So I was talking about the rebellion and Louis Riel and his crew and all that. In response to the Red River Resistance of 1869, Macdonald sent a military force saying these impulsive half-breeds. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, but there are quotes from him, and back then they used, because Métis, for people who don't know, they are half indigenous, half French from like years and years, decades earlier. People just blatantly called them half-breeds all the time. So he says, unfortunately, these impulsive half-breeds have got spoilt by their émouette, which I looked up and I already forgot what that means. Riot. So like they got spoiled by like a success of one riot, and must be kept down by a strong hand until they are swamped by the influx of settlers. So he's really two-faced. He says one thing that's going to happen, like, food's going to come, you're going to get this land, you're going to get this prime land,
Yeah.
but he's always playing a backroom deal with richer people out in Ontario. You see?
Yeah.
Macdonald institutionalized this repressive force in 1873 with the creation of the Northwest Mounted Police, the precursor of the RCMP, that crushed the Northwest Rebellion of 1885. As Métis academic and activist Howard Adams wrote in his 1975 work, Prison of Grass, Canada from a Native Point of View, this is what he says. He said, according to popular explanation, the Mounted Police Force was established to prevent whiskey traders from buying Indian furs.
Sorry.
She's ripping my...
Bruno
is ripping my...
trying to get on
jeans
Chris,
and
and
leg.
his claws are too sharp. I'm sorry. That's on.
No.
That's on Ebony. No offense, but that is understood as her, chore to clip Bruno's nails, and she has.
But also, I
neglected
feel
it,
like this
so.
story has... and I wanted to get to this part in the story because it's more interesting than his fucking lawyer politics bullshit. But it's tense, and Bruno is responding correctly.
Yep.
So
He is,
yeah, I'll
actually.
start that again. According to popular explanation, the Mounted Police Force was established to prevent whiskey traders from buying Indian furs, which the Hudson's Bay Company claimed as its exclusive right. However, it is not just a coincidence that the Mounted Police were established during the development of Indian reserves. Oh yeah, and they still use the word Indian, by the way, sorry. To ensure the success of the treaty negotiations with the Indians and quote-unquote help relocate Indians and half-breeds to their reserves and colonies. The Indians, who had lived in the area for thousands of years without police, saw no reason for the establishment of a force in the Northwest since there was no serious disorder or lawlessness in the country. To the native people, this military force was similar to the federal troops who had invaded Fort Garry in 1870. The Mounties were not ambassadors of goodwill or uniformed men sent to protect Indians. They were the colonizers' occupational forces and hence the oppressors of Indians and Métis.
Right.
I would also like to say I'm a massive fan of the Chester Brown, Louis
Yes, it's
Riel
great.
graphic novel. And so the invasion
It's
of
really
Fort
good.
Garry, etc., and all that kind of stuff, it's explained in really great detail.
It's a graphic novel. Yeah, it's really good.
It's incredible. I think Fantagraphics released it or something. But yeah,
I have
so
it over here somewhere.
yeah, read it. You can read it in a day. It's really like gripping and well done. Another thing that I read that's not I didn't make notes on is like, of course, the Mounties who were in charge of relocating indigenous people, they basically always robbed them and like raped the women and stuff. Right. So it was like really fucking savage. And another thing I read that I forgot to make a note about, and you guys will find this interesting, is John A. Macdonald took the idea to basically create this paramilitary force for himself based on how the British dealt with the Irish.
Ah,
Right.
So
interesting.
right? So you see the similarity there?
Mm.
So it's basically the same fucking tactics that he
Nice.
got from Britain.
Mm.
Okay. Expanded capitalism. McDonald is called a nation builder for extending the railroad across the country. But this was intertwined with waging war on the existing indigenous nations, using the starvation to clear the path for the railroad and using the railroad to transport the police to crush the 1885 rebellion. The expansion of the railroad itself killed hundreds of workers, primarily Chinese migrant workers. As part of expanding capitalist industry across the country, while the 1872 Toronto strike and the movement for the 9-hour workday pushed MacDonald to pass the Trade Union Act legalizing unions, he followed this with a law criminalizing picketing. Right from its inception. Nice guy, right? See, he's always faking you out and then dropping the fucking hammer, you know? Right from its inception, Canadian capitalism exploited workers and fueled corruption. And MacDonald had to resign in 1873. When the Pacific scandal exposed his receipt of campaign donations from the owner of the Canadian Pacific Railway. So I still didn't make a note down here about who Alan is, but basically CPR is basically paying for his campaign donations,
corrupt.
like everybody does now.
Right,
it's like so blatant that we can't even like regulate it anymore.
He's like Doug Ford in the 1800s. This guy.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because obviously, definitely some extreme heinous things in this list, but I also feel a couple of things in this list because I noticed the list was published in 2015, and it feels very of 2015 to me. Because like he banned abortion like in the 1860s. Like what? Like
that's
was that
thing.
I mean, I obviously
And everybody was
disagree
super
with that, but
Christian
we're in the
back then.
1860s, and also like number 6, expanded capitalism.
Like I said,
what are you I mean, but
yeah,
that's not
some good
taking
points come out of
away
it, but
the
it's written in the
heinous.
voice of like the article I took it from for sure. It's Jesse McLaren, who I said seems like an activist socialist, and also that is the time. Yeah, no, it's not the time yet, but it's approaching the time when his statues started coming down
Yep.
and getting defaced. So like all of this stuff was bubbling up in the 2010s for sure.
Imagine, on a lighter note, imagine how exciting it would have been to take a train ride in the 1870s from, say, Kingston, Ontario to St. John, New Brunswick.
Yes.
Imagine how exciting that would have been.
Yes, and like going to the dinner car and getting one potato and a couple beets. Yes, it would be really
Would you
exciting.
like rotten potato or somewhat fresh potato?
Yeah, changing your wool pants for another pair of wool pants.
I think they had a toilet on board the train back in those days. Just like an open hold.
Just drop
over the
shit onto the tracks. Okay, we're not done with the heinousness. 7, he promoted residential schools. Resuming his role as prime minister in 1878, MacDonald continued colonial oppression, expanding residential schools. I know, and I get the guy's wording of colonial oppression is kind of like, it seems of that time as well. Because it is weird because these guys were like, you can't, like, we can't ever go back to the 19th century and see how they're justifying it in their mind.
Yeah.
They're like, we're bringing, well, we do know that they thought they were bringing civilization to these quote unquote savages, which is still, it is colonial oppression.
Clearly the attitude of that time, which he was extremely guilty of anyone different than us, not like British are barely human, if at all, which we saw last week with in the Congo with King Leopold, and clearly John A. Macdonald thought the same of Aboriginal First Nations people in Canada.
Yeah.
Barely treat them as human, or just like, well, whatever, just send them over here.
There's a lot of people that think that what happened with the indigenous across all of North America is actually, we talked about Leopold part. I always call him Leopold Part 2 last week, and it was really fucking savage. But a lot of people think that the what happened like over 4 centuries in North America is the most like savage like example of genocide like in human history, which totally makes sense. It really does seem like that.
The Siri on my computer just said 1 moment.
Oh, I
Shut
said
up, Siri.
I said
It
seem
pisses
like
me
that,
off.
and it sounds like
I'll
Siri.
be doing something totally different. Oh my God! Will you shut
Siri
up?
just said, "Are you serious, James?"
James, I've never heard you so mad.
Well, because I'll be talking to someone and Siri goes,
This is a
"Let me
James
look
zone."
that up for you." I'm like, I'm not talking to you. Why is my computer listening to me right now?
You just James zoned Siri.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh fuck! Now my phone's
Now
going
your
like
Siri's going.
This is AI taking over. This is our.
Oh no, there's a picture of a 78-year-old woman with huge breasts.
I bet you want my nipple in your mouth, Chris.
Sonny boy.
Oh my God. I'm sorry it's so dark, but I always want to talk about the Canada stuff on here because it's insane.
Did he like create or just extend the residential school system? Because
I think that like an early version was around since the mid 1600s.
Right, when the Europeans came.
But I think it fully here's a quote actually from him from 1879. When the school is on the reserve, the child lives with its parents, who are savages, and though he may learn to read and write, his habits and training mode of thought are Indian. He is simply a savage who can read and write. It has been strongly impressed upon myself as head of the department that Indian children should be withdrawn as much as possible from the parental influence, and the only way to do that would be to put them in central training industrial schools where they will acquire the habits and modes of thought of white men.
And like,
so he's really putting his pedal to the metal.
That's a great quote because like it's said so coldly, but then you actually think of the reality of that and taking children away from their family and culture, like how horrible that is.
They don't think of them, the people who are on the land before them. They don't think of them as humans at all.
No,
it's insane. Residential schools were Canadian concentration camps and included torture and medical experiments. And I looked up the medical. I was like, medical experiments? Again, I was like, is Jesse going a little too hard on this one? Like, where's he getting this information?
I just feel like it doesn't even things don't need their sort of embellishment because they're bad enough.
That's the thing. But I did look it up, and apparently, according to this one article I read, and again, there's two sides of everything, but I definitely believe that residential schools in general were like psychotically disturbing.
Yeah.
But they would use tests on starvation to see, to genuinely see how far a human can go with starvation.
Really?
And malnutrition.
Wow.
So they would literally watch them like subjects.
Oh.
And in the South, they used to do that with black people too, who had venereal disease. Apparently, they would they would act like they were doing scientific experiments to try remedies
they would
and medicine
them with something on purpose.
But they would watch it just take its course.
Ugh.
And so you kind of, it sounds like that's...
Yeah.
Dude, North America is fucking based on some insane psychotic
This
shit.
is wild because at least when I was going to school, there was and I think it prevails today, this idea that this sort of Canadian supremacy thing, we're a little bit better than our American neighbors because we didn't do slavery, and so we're really progressive and we're so much nicer, and we didn't learn about this shit.
But the difference with the Indigenous and the First Nations people here in Canada, the British or the white supremacists whitewashing that we grew up with is in America, there were full-on battles. You know, there was like the battle of this, the battle of that, Custer's Last Stand, all this shit.
We didn't have a civil war over this idea.
But
Yeah.
so it's like, yeah, we didn't savagely go to war with the people
Yeah.
that came here. We integrated with them, but no, we fucking starved them and displaced them. And yeah, like even when Louis Riel and his people who were like literally like Louis Riel is like, God, I wish I could do an article about him, but I personally don't think he's an evil man, so it wouldn't fit here. But he was literally elected 3 times in Parliament while he was in exile because he would be killed.
Right.
Like the people where he's from in Manitoba and Saskatchewan wanted his leadership because he understood what was happening to them, and he was educated in Montreal in politics and stuff. So he was clever, he understood, and he could eloquent, and he could express himself. All this kind of crazy stuff, and so they're whitewashing his story too all this time, so that they could just like, you know, they're rebelling against the greater good of Canada. But it's like, no, you're just not listening to people who live on the land that you just said is your land now. That's all it was.
Yeah.
Crazy, right? We're almost done. Sorry, guys. It gets heavy, but like I wanted to always talk about this Canadian shit. Outlawed the potlatch, calling for an iron hand on the shoulders of Indigenous peoples. Macdonald outlawed the potlatch. I looked up potlatch. It was like a ceremony they would do where they would give away their riches and stuff, and I don't know. It's just basically an Indigenous. Well, whatever. You can read it here. Potlatch involves giving away or destroying wealth or valuable items in order to demonstrate a leader's wealth and power. Potlatches are
This is
also
a Scottish man's actual nightmare.
yeah, there you go. Potlatches are also focused on the reaffirmation of family, clan, and international connections, and the human connection with the supernatural world, which is, you know, so it's like the Indigenous people have their, it's just a, you know, like we're still seeing it today.
Yeah.
Isn't something being banned today? In like, you know, it's like in Quebec, they ban like, you know, people's religious stuff. You know, it's just to take power away from certain people. So yeah, in his words, they outlawed the potlatch. It is not possible that Indians can acquire property or can become industrious with any good result while under the influence of this mania. As the amendment to the Indian Act in 1884 stated, every Indian or other person who engages in or assists in celebrating the Indian festival known as the potlatch or in the Indian dance known as the tamanawas is guilty of a misdemeanor and liable to imprisonment for a term of not more than 6 nor less than 2 months in any jail or other place or confinement. And every Indian or person who encourages an Indian to get up such a festival shall be liable to the same punishment. And so I read stories too about, you know, people getting killed, like beaten to death for doing like a celebration dance when like their child is born and stuff. So what it is he's beating the rituals of their culture out of them.
So the culture is outlawed. He's ripping kids away from their family, just trying to destroy like the entire culture.
He's displacing them.
The
He's
language.
starving them. Pretty cool, eh?
I never knew that this was all based on the British approach to Ireland, which does it's exactly the same. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that story as well, but I am reading a lot of James Joyce these days. So an annotated version. So it's always like, oh, you hear someone's name and then they'll be like, oh, they read this like revolution or this thing, and like it's pretty freaking crazy. Yeah. But Macdonald failed to extinguish Indigenous traditions and ceremonies, as can be seen from ongoing Indigenous sovereignty movements. He imposed a racist head tax. This is So Macdonald extended his racism to anyone who did not represent the Aryan race and Aryan principles. That might be Jesse's words from the article, but you get it. You get where he's coming from. In compensation for Chinese migrant workers dying to build the railway, he's credited with, Macdonald imposed a head tax and attacked their right to vote. As he said in 1885, when the Chinaman comes here, he intends to return to his own country. He does not bring his family with him. He is a stranger, a sojourner in a strange land. For his own purposes for a while. He has no common interest with us, has no British instincts or British feelings or aspirations, and therefore ought not to have a vote.
Well,
Yeah.
it's crazy. These people who
Yeah.
come from China have no British instincts.
Yeah.
what an insane
So
point of view.
Yeah, he didn't
to
let
have.
them. And then so he made it so you have to pay $50 to come into the country.
To work in
To
a
work
dangerous
and- Yeah.
occupation of building the railway.
And we're not even mentioning how many died.
That's
Like thousands
crazy.
died
Yeah.
building the CPR.
You need to pay to you need to pay for that privilege.
I'm laughing at James just being like, shit. Because, yeah, it is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's complicated, but it's fucking intense. And it's sad. Sad as fuck. While MacDonald was in office, the vote was also denied to Indigenous people, women, people with disabilities, and men without property. The migrant justice movement continues to challenge modern-day head taxes, from the temporary foreign workers program to the cuts to refugee health. Do. Yeah, we still like it is weird, like what he put forward as the first prime minister, and we still see echoes from to this day.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Like even the whole like treaty stuff, man, the treaties, not honoring treaties is a rabbit hole you can literally go down for weeks.
So I
It
read.
never ends.
I read the Howard Zinn book, A People's History of the United States of America, and it charts like from the arrival of Columbus to the Clinton administration, and
Whoa.
I had a hunch that this was the case, but it blew my mind where he points out that every single treaty drawn up and agreed to with Indigenous people in America, every single one of them was broken and disregarded.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Because you know what? I think it's awful, but I think the tactic is the treaty pacifies them or nullifies them for a bit, and then you move the forces in. Like, look at the wet Sowetan or whatever from like 2020 with the pipeline.
In BC.
Yeah, do you hear about that still?
Yeah.
They always force their way through.
And the RCMP is always out there.
Or what was that
Arresting
Oka
people.
one? The golf course?
That was in Quebec, yeah,
In
in 1989. 90,
Yeah.
yeah.
The Mohawk were like,
Yeah.
Building a fucking,
hey, what the
literally
fuck?
a golf course.
Fucking golf course. Like, oh my God, you can't
Yeah.
even, like, I guess the industry of Canada can technically argue the benefit of the pipelines.
Sure.
I'm not on
Yeah.
that side of that argument.
Yeah.
I don't believe in that. But a fucking golf course, eh?
Yeah.
Like, that's
Rude.
rude.
Crisis was that what
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was?
That's rude. And 2 people lost their lives during that. Okay, so the last one from this article is executed dissidents. So not content with crushing the 1885 rebellion, MacDonald wanted to make an example of its leaders. I should also say from like what I've read, many British Canadians from Ontario wanted him gone. He transferred the Métis leader Louis Riel from Winnipeg to Regina to ensure a white Anglophone jury using the ancient British high treason law that carried the death penalty, and refused to consider a flood of petitions in support of Riel. So this is where he alienated Quebec as well. As MacDonald said, he shall hang, though every dog in Quebec shall bark in his favor. MacDonald also incarcerated Cree chief Pound Maker and used a mass execution of Cree warriors as a public spectacle. As Daniel Paul McMack, author of We Were Not the Savages, wrote this, was, quote, the largest mass execution in Canadian history, the First Nations people abiding around the area, living in various states of starvation and malnutrition, were forced to watch the executions. The following is what the father of Confederation had to say about it in 20th of November, 1885. In a letter to the Commissioner of the Indian Affairs, the executions of the Indians ought to convince the red man that the white man governs. So
Jesus Christ.
that's basically a slow simmering thing that built up from the 1860s when he purchased Rupert's Land and kept fucking these guys for like 20 years, you know?
Yeah.
And then, so they were like, that's what they did. He just sent the RCMP out there,
Right.
basically, or the what they were called then, the Northwest Military Police.
Yeah.
So it's just like completely outnumbered with soldiers, completely outnumbered with guns, ammo, everything, and they just basically tired the rebellion out. and
Right.
caught a bunch of them. Caught Louis Riel. Like I said, Louis Riel was, you know, a smart, political-minded man. He did have some episodes of delusions of grandeur in regards to a mission from God, but also people kind of backed that up because they liked having
Right.
this leader who was powerful and confident, etc. But they took him and like basically a lot of people, not just Quebec and indigenous people, but a lot of people were like, well, don't hang the dude.
Right.
That's crazy. But they hung him and made a big
Okay.
spectacle of it. So, and then, you know, the land was theirs and it was Canada, and as we know it, moving forward.
Yeesh.
Cool.
I didn't know a lot of this stuff, and it's thinking of what he did, and the fact that he's like, celebrated with statues, and like he's on the $10 bill. It's like having like Saddam Hussein on our $10 bill or something, or like Idi Amin.
Yeah, so
like-
like some statues have been toppled, like
I can't believe there was any debate that like
he's
whether
not on
this-
the bill anymore, right?
He was on
Yeah.
it, and then they replaced it with
Like in 2018 or something. Or
Yeah.
that's
With
Black
right.
Lives Matter
Yeah.
swooped a lot of that stuff through
Yeah.
our country as well, which was very interesting. Yeah, Louis, I will say to our listeners, and yeah, Louis Riel's story way more interesting and exciting to read than John A. Macdonald. John A. Macdonald, unfortunately, I know, sorry for the history of Canada, but it seems like another run-of-the-mill of the British colonialist story of not thinking that any other, you know, being motivated by greed, corruption, and not thinking that any other human outside of your race is a fucking human.
Yeah.
The nicest thing that John A. Macdonald did was with his second wife. He had a disabled daughter who was in a sort of wheelchair buggy thing all her life.
Did he have her hanged?
No, surprisingly, he didn't have her hanged
Okay,
for being.
She's not British.
I don't. Yeah, she probably didn't get to vote though.
Yeah.
But no, he didn't have her hanged for being weaker than him. But he would read her sweet stories at night, and
Oh,
also,
That's good. That's
okay.
nice.
yeah, he cared about his disabled daughter. So that's
good.
a kind heart in his
Nice man.
personal affairs, at least. But he was a drunk too. Some people argue that he wasn't just he wasn't a drunk, but he really tied one on hard when to alleviate from stress. And he actually like puked during a. So I'm going by memory now. I don't have this in my notes, but he puked during a. I don't know if it was Alexander Mackenzie or not, but during a. What's it called?
Like a debate?
A debate, a political debate.
Wow.
And then the guy says, "See, is this who you want to be prime minister? A drunk?" And legend has it, Sir John A. Macdonald responded quickly with, "I do not puke because I am a drunk. I puke because I have to listen to your honorable
That's
competitor
pretty
over here."
good. I mean, I get if you do vomit in a debate, that's quick thinking.
Yeah, that roast kind of like,
I got him another term.
yeah, that kind of like nixes all the bad stuff he did.
And you could use that for anything. Do you want this man who shit his pants? Ha! I shit my pants not for any reason other than I am listening to you.
You made me shit, stupid. But yeah, so apparently he would get kind of violent and aggressive when he was drinking, and like insulted people sometimes. So on and off throughout his life, he would work on that. But after everything we talked about, who gives a fuck?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he remained prime minister until his death. In May 1891, Macdonald suffered a stroke, which left him partially paralyzed and unable to speak. His health continued to deteriorate, and he died in the late evening of June 6, 1891. Thousands filed by his... I just realized he died on my dad's birthday, if he was
Oh.
alive at that time.
Oh, it's also he died 100 years before Nevermind by Nirvana was released.
Holy shit.
Wow.
That would have been
Yeah.
interesting to see how he would have reacted.
But the reverberations of his death definitely influenced Dave Grohl's drums. Thousands filed by his open casket in the Senate chamber. His body was transported by funeral train to his hometown of Kingston, where Dan Aykroyd poured Crystal Skull vodka onto his head,
Caesars for everyone.
with crowds greeting the train at each stop. On arrival in Kingston, MacDonald lay in state in City Hall, wearing the uniform of an imperial privy councillor. He was buried in Cataraqui Cemetery in Kingston, his grave near that of his first wife, Isabella. So yeah, he had two
I want to
wives.
compliment you on your pronunciation of Cataraqui because I was looking at your document and that's a tough word. It ends in QUI, just for people listening, and Chris just nailed it.
Here's some other notes, but I think we're done. So there you go.
Oh, wow.
So he was
Wow.
married twice. He
Well, I
one
don't
kid
like
died.
that he was married twice.
Well, his wife died, and his
still.
firstborn died, and his second-born son got into politics too. But the juicy stuff about the truth about that time in Canada was what I was more excited about talking about.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry it was like heavy for a bit there, but you know, it's Evil Men, dude.
That's the name of the show. Ha!
Also, Leopold Part 2 was insane. We've
Yeah.
got two like megalo.
We better pick a light one next week.
Yeah, I forgot.
Carrot Top. I call Carrot Top.
There's no way Carrot Top is an evil man, bringing so much joy to everybody constantly every day.
He must have done something in Vegas.
I think he bought up all of the creatine in Vegas, so everyone was mad that they couldn't buy it, and then that's why he's
that
bad.
gives you 0.1 on the Evilometer. Well, speaking of that, I guess it's time to bring out the
Evilometer.
Oh, it's got a big bottle of booze. It's drunk and it's puking.
Oh.
Evilometer, have
but-
some self-control.
But his quip about puking was quite clever. I give him
Yeah.
that.
Oh, and it's trying to unite all of Canada, and it's building a railway in a racist way. But yeah. So here's the point of the show where we all mark the subject, Sir John A. Macdonald, on a scale of 1 to 10. Chris, you selected Sir. What do you give Sir?
I forgot to say too that anyways, the CP rail was, if it took the RCMP out there to battle them, then the government would be convinced to fund the completion of the CP rail, because they were saying it was too expensive at the time. Sorry, I missed that. In the modern time now, it is hard because I do love the country of Canada. And I think obviously the story of the birth of Canada that we've been celebrating all our lives is just as important or more important now as the story of the Indigenous people that we are learning more and more of each day. And I do think, hopefully going forward, that we can celebrate both stories and feel the pain of the British colonial terror from the past, which is still obviously, especially Indigenous people would say, it's still happening, so we can't forget it. But Canada was forged in this crazy time. So he did do that, and he was proud to be creating this new country called Canada. He did have pride for that. I'm still giving him a fucking 9 because fuck you.
Yeah, it's like finding out, like, because you love Canada, but you don't like its creator. It's like finding out that girl you've got the hots for has a crazy father.
Oh, been there.
Yeah.
Bought the T-shirt.
Yeah. Kiss the T-shirt.
Kiss the
father a
daughter.
9.
Kiss the daughter. Yeah.
Killed the father.
You know what I
Fuck
mean?
the daughter. Marry the father. Kill the mother.
Yourself.
Kill yourself.
Like, I feel like the conflicting thoughts of Canada
Yeah.
don't make John A. Macdonald a good guy still.
No.
He's
no.
a piece of shit.
I'm going to go along with you, Chris. I'm going to give him, all the terrible deaths he's responsible for of ruining Indigenous culture, the head tax. But also, what really puts a bee in my bonnet is him getting involved in shady business deals with Alan. And so I'm going to give Johnny
Mike,
McDonald
well said.
9.2.
Well said. I'll give him an 8.5. All those revelations, truly horrific. And as Michael said, the dealings with Alan were just a cherry on the nasty sundae.
Unforgivable.
But these days, But these days, every politician deals with Alan, and nothing. They suffer no consequences.
I know, but we have to
We're
change
watching
that. And we have the power with a podcast to change, to affect change. And we
Yeah.
can start holding these guys accountable to dealing with Alan.
Stop
watching
dealing
an-
with Alan.
We're watching an Allen incident in court
And-
in New York
and it has
at
to
this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it has to start small. We start with our city councilors in our own
Yeah.
cities. No more dealing with Alan. And then we go from there, provincial.
But
Federal.
also, James, we have to be careful, and it's our duty to stop doing business with Alan in our hearts. Also,
That's true.
Each one of us.
And buy no products from people who do business with Alan.
Yes.
Let's boycott Alan.
You know, and like Chris, like, you know, you talk about like Alan getting blowjobs all the time. And like we have to stop joking about Alan.
Yeah.
Like
No, it's true. Fuck. You know, it's like there's such easy laughs at a big broad crowd at a club.
Well, when you bring
Yeah.
up Alan.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you bring up Alan, like you're in there. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what suburb you're from, what rural town you're from.
It unites people.
You
You're
know
all laughing
Alan.
hard. You know Alan, and it's hilarious.
And he's been alive for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And
If you're doing crowd work with a woman and her husband's name's Alan, it's over.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
you like
yeah.
you can just reference it for the rest of your set, and you're the king. But yeah, I know you're right. Even to be socially responsible, I should stop riffing about Alan.
Yeah, I
comedy
don't even use
clubs.
Alan keys.
No, me neither. I use screwdrivers.
I know. Yeah, I don't take the Allen Expressway here in Toronto.
Well, you don't want to for
Oh,
other reasons as well. Like
traffic.
as soon as you get into Eglinton, what the fuck is
Oh,
going on? Are you
yeah.
guys gonna finish this anytime soon?
Well, you know, Jane Jacobs stopped it. No, we won't get into that. But
I definitely think that the quagmire of construction at Eglinton is reverberations of John A. Macdonald. Like, let's be honest here. The guy fucked up.
he
Fucked
did.
up.
He
Well,
did.
thanks, Chris, for telling us this awful story.
Mm.
Hey, I know you have something to promote, Mike.
Well, I'm going to be doing another preview of my Edinburgh show called Thanks for Murdering My Grandfather, the Mafia. Not on Tuesday, April 30th at the Transact Club in Toronto, Ontario, 8 p.m. And please come. The first one was sold out and was super fun. This one will be even better. I'm building the show up. And I have two acts supporting the night, including Chris Locke from Evil Men
Hey.
and Beta Judaki. It's two hilarious
Hey.
stand-up comedians. Please come out, one and all. I'd love to see you out there.
Wow, Mike, well said.
I'll put the link in the show notes.
Ebony's colleague gave us his Blue Jays tickets for that night, so I can't make it. I'm sorry.
Oh, wow.
You're gonna go
Apologize.
see the guy that you ran into in Whole Foods.
Well, I
and be
hope
like,
so.
Do you remember me? I met you in the eggs aisle.
I hope so. I will do that if I see him.
Throw eggs at him as an inside joke.
Oh yeah, he would laugh. Chad Green, he would laugh. Yeah. Chris, what about you? You must have something to promote. You're always hustling and doing your dirty work.
Well, after this episode, I'm going back into the mental hospital for quite a few months, to be honest. And
Okay. We'll do it over. We'll do the podcast over Zoom.
so come visit me. It's called Orangeville Asylum. It's got by a nice little river there.
The Credit
Awesome.
River.
Yeah, the Credit River that
Yeah.
goes all the way down through Mississauga.
That's right. The Constantines have a song called "The Credit River."
Oh man, see that's what I'm saying. It's conflicting. Being Canadian is great.
You know, there's a duality.
There's a
to
lot of
things.
amazing rivers.
There's a
in Canada.
duality.
I live right by the Humber River.
That's a hell of a
And
walk.
My wife and I walk along it very often,
Love it.
and it's a ancient, thousands of years old trading post for the indigenous communities. It's really exhilarating. Oh boy. Yeah. Well, I read that article by Jesse McLaren, like I think more around when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
So I always remembered it, and I always wanted to just
No,
drop
there
those
are a lot of
bombs.
shocking details that I had no idea about.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew generally speaking he was horrific to First Nations people, but I did not know the specifics.
Yeah, yeah. And we still kind of just gave bullet points. But yeah, thanks for having me on your podcast, guys.
No,
Thanks,
it's super
Chris.
great to have you, and good luck with your porn podcast that you're doing.
Oh, they do allow me to bring a Zoom H4n recorder into the hospital.
Oh.
But yeah, the doctors are here, so keep an eye out for Porn Mind by Chris Locke. And that was another great episode of Evilometer.